minus 10 minutes. Minus 9 minutes. Minus 8 minutes. minus 7 minutes. Minus 6 minutes. Minus 5 minutes. Minus for minutes. Minus 3 minutes. minus 2 minutes. T minus 1 minute. Stand by.
How about that?
Oh boy. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. I feel like there was a lot of heat coming out of the weekend, and it has not settled down as we open a brand new week. Hello, everybody. Hello, you all. It's the RP show coming at you. RP here, yakking it up on the old yak box. Soon to be joined by Mitchell Scruffy Blair. We've just been informed we are not on Game Plus television today across Canada and 33 states, but that's okay. We will be across Nevada in hour 2. They found us here on YouTube in various forms and WQVZ. Mitch, if you don't mind, as you know, this opening segment goes real fast, so I'm going to jump right into point 1 of the Quick Six show topics because I know what your weekend was. It was the same as mine and everybody else watching. 46 years to the day after a bunch of unheralded amateurs stunned the heavily favored Soviets en route to winning Olympic gold, the U.S. men's hockey team engineered another epic victory. Jack Hughes scoring in overtime Sunday morning, and the USA beat Canada 2-1 to claim America's first Olympic men's hockey gold medal since 1980. Please discuss. And before I turn the floor over to you, Mitch, I have a lot of my American friends have tuned in to hear what Canada has to say about the game yesterday because they're not following all the social media accounts you and I do. What's Canada saying today, Mitch, about losing to the USA in the gold medal game?
Well, Canada's saying that they had their chances. It went to a format that we shouldn't have to go to decide a gold medal game. But at the end of the day, and it's much like Ed Olczyk said on the NBC telecast yesterday, the Americans are hanging on. They are hoping this gets to a 3-on-3 where anything can happen. And it did. And Jack Hughes scored the goal. Connor Hellebuck played the best game that he has played probably in 2 years.
Or
Nathan
his life.
McKinnon missed a wide open net. Canada had a 5-on-3 power play and they couldn't capitalize. They had another power play in the third period. They couldn't capitalize. Nathan McKinnon said, "You saw who the best team was." Yeah, Nathan, we did. And Canada should have won, but they didn't. It would have been 5-on-5. Who knows? The Americans still might have won. We'll never know. But 3-on-3 overtime to me, and Roddy, I've talked about this with you before the Olympics. That's a horrible way to decide a gold medal, a bronze medal game.
Probably.
Whatever.
Sure. But you came out hot, and I knew you would, and that's a wonderful synopsis of how everybody's feeling. You actually really did encapsulate it quite well. The problem is there's a little bit of sour grapes here, not from you, but from everybody. The sour grapes is making the Americans enjoy this even more. I saw a guy actually say the amount of whining. Right. They say the amount of whining coming out of Canada is like another gold medal for us. And I'm like, can we just, and I say we, because I'm cheering for Canada. I was wearing Canadian gear yesterday and wanted Canada to win. Can we please lose with class and dignity? And I'll be honest with you, with the quotes from John Cooper, whom I love, man. I love John Cooper. I saw them floating around about what you just said. This is not how you end a game. There's a reason why it isn't used in the playoffs. I didn't even think that was real. I thought somebody was twisting the words, twisting the quotes. But then when I saw TSN post that, I'm like, oh, he actually did say that. Even having said that, though, if you would listen to the whole quote, he goes, we had our best players out against their best players, and they still ended it. So he was a lot more classy in defeat than people made it sound.
Roddy, at the end of the day, when you break down the goal, Cale Makar is so close to getting possession of the puck again. If he gets possession of the puck, him and McDavid are on a 2-on-0 probably. How does that turn out? The way Hellebuck played, he probably stops it. Nathan McKinnon gets pushed off the puck by Zach Werenski. I never thought in the world that would happen. And it did.
Yes.
And Makar up ice, and you can see the end view. Like, Makar's sort of, because I think he thinks that McKinnon's going to get that puck, wrap it around the net to McDavid, who will have Hughes out of position, and now you're going to have a 2-on-1. But it didn't happen. Jack Hughes scores, and good for the U.S. If we played that game again at 3 o'clock, would it be the same result? It might have been. But we'll never know because 3-on-3.
Right. And so you leave Jack Hughes uncovered in overtime. That's the poll question, by the way, which I should not be surprised by the results so far of the voting for EMJ Marketing today. The question is, did the right team win Olympic gold on Sunday? 60% of respondents are saying, no, the right team didn't win. Mitch, you just said, I think almost subconsciously, McKinnon missed the empty net. Let's add McDavid was stopped on a breakaway. They left Jack Hughes uncovered. Celebrini was stopped on a breakaway. They missed a 5-on-3. All these missed opportunities, all these mistakes and miscues.
The save on Hellebuck, or the save on Timmins by Hellebuck.
So no, the wrong team didn't win. The wrong team didn't win. Sure, Canada outshot them 2-1. And to be honest, it was nice to see Connor Hellebuck smile for the first time ever as they put the medal around his neck. I didn't even know he was capable of it. You talk about Captain Serious. But he out-goaltended Jordan Binnington, and it wasn't that Binnington had a bad game. He made that unbelievable save on the one-timer in overtime. So it was a hell of a hockey game. You know what? It didn't disappoint, though. Going to overtime, 1980, the 87 Canada Cup, 98 Olympics. This game is in the discussion now for all-timers. We just didn't like the way it ended.
Absolutely it is. It was a great hockey game that came down to one shot. And, they knew the rules, so it's not like they just threw this on them, whatever. And you can sit there and talk about, and when John Cooper talks about the 3-on-3, and I understand him talking about the 3-on-3, but I would have liked to have seen John Cooper maybe make that statement after the Czechia game when Mitch Marner scored. Because I hated 3-on-3 there too. Because you want it to be 5-on-5. And like I said, 3-on-3 in the regular season, fine. Ghost Runner in Major League Baseball, fine. But when the playoffs come, we play to the rules that we have. Can you imagine a Super Bowl or a Grey Cup if it went to overtime and they said, okay, we're going to play 7-on-7 now?
No.
I mean, ridiculous.
No. 1 minute till we break. From the audience, Ryan in upstate New York says, Jack Hughes played end-to-end hockey from the back check to the chip up the ice and the finish. Brilliant play.
Yep.
Jeff, the Stamps fan, says, and what an amazing act of love by Team USA in the seconds following the overtime winner. He's talking about the Gaudreau family. There's no two ways about that. Oh, we got to get a word out to the Kachuk haters. I got a lot of thoughts on that, so we'll get to that. Sea Lightning writes in and says, pond hockey decided the winner. Not arguing. No, you're not wrong. Rob in Las Vegas watching says, surprised the Olympics went to 3-on-3 overtime.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw-up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Looking for a new ride without the big city pressure? Come to Western Dodge in Moose Jaw, where you'll find an unbeatable lineup of Ram trucks, Jeep SUVs, Dodge Muscle, and Chrysler family rides. With knowledgeable staff, great prices, and that friendly Moose Jaw touch, you'll drive away with confidence. Western Dodge. Big selection, small town service. Visit us today or browse online at westerndodge.ca.
Do you worry about how much someone drinks?
Do you feel angry or depressed most of the time? Do you feel neglected or unloved?
Do you feel that if the drinker loved you, she or he would stop drinking?
If you answered yes to any of these questions, you are not alone.
Not everyone trapped by alcohol is an alcoholic.
Families and friends are suffering too.
Al-Anon
Al-Anon and
and
Alateen can help. Call 1-866-200-0223 or visit alanon.org/help.
Hold on tight, Moose Jaw. Professional bull riding is back. PBR Canada charges into the Temple Garden Center April 25th. See the toughest riders take on the rankest bulls in a night of non-stop, edgier seat action. Whether you're a diehard fan or brand new to PBR, this is one show you don't want to miss. Tickets are on sale now at sastix.ca or at the box office. But don't wait, they'll sell fast. Professional Bull Riding Canada in Moose Jaw.
Proudly presented by Papikassis Developments Limited.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Ultimate Fan Zone, taking our show on the road coast to coast. Shop online, ultimatefanzone.ca. Slick, user-friendly. We built this site for the die-hard sports fans. Jerseys, hats, team apparel, offering officially licensed fan gear from the best lines in sports. Nike, New Era, Adidas, Fanatics. Game day ready to your door. Now, just a click away. ultimatefanzone.ca or check us out on Facebook and Instagram. UFZ Downtown Moose Jaw, home of everything authentic.
21-time nominated Grammy Award winner Dwight Yoakam. Live in concert. June 24th, 7 p.m., Temple Garden Center. Dwight Yoakam. On sale now at sastix.ca. Dwight Yoakam Live.
Welcome back, everybody. I'm dispensing with the rest of the Quick Six Show topics. Scruffy's with me today. We're all here to talk about the same thing. Mark in Melfort writes in, he says, good morning, Rod. The sun came up today. You win with class, you lose with class. I would hope so, and the Canadian viewers have been very classy today, classier than what I saw on social media last night. Scott in Vancouver writes in, he says, Goodrow would have been there for sure. Classy move with the jersey. If I can, Mitch, just a couple of texts on the Western Dodge text line. Kirk in Toronto says, this happens all the time. A team dominates the whole game, outshoots their opponent 2-1, you lose. I could see it coming, unfortunately. Tony in Saskatoon says, good morning, gang. Congratulations to the Americans. And so proud of all of our athletes. Biggest word in sports, if. And here's, speaking of that, I put on Facebook yesterday on our page, I said, what could Canada have done differently? Of the hundreds of comments that come in, some lady goes, it's over, move on. Like, if it was only that easy. Said
you know,
no
one thing
one
I didn't
ever.
see.
Hmm.
Sorry, one thing I didn't see, which I was good to see. Well, you did. When we look at that roster and the way it was, that roster was one shot away from gold. So don't tell me that Evan Bouchard would have helped this team. Don't tell me that Connor Bedard would have helped this team. Don't tell me that Matthew Schaefer or Mark Scheifele would have, because they wouldn't have. This would have been no different. No different at all in my mind. So, you know, I know you put up the Bedard thing on the weekend. I was talking with somebody about Bedard on the weekend as well. He wouldn't have been a top 6 forward on that team, Rod. And I don't know if Connor Bedard could be a bottom 6 guy with what Hockey Canada was looking for.
I would have had him there instead of Tom Wilson. I would have had him there instead of Sam Bennett. Listen, the hockey people, I think, will understand this. I'm not saying you're not, but a guy that can score with the first shot, which Bedard can, that's how he butters his bread in a one-goal game.
Cole Caulfield?
I'd rather have. Well, he's on Team USA and they won, so
Jason
you can't
Robertson?
you can't sit and poke at the USA roster. They won.
Right, and that's what I mean, is we were one shot away from saying, like, would Connor Bedard have won that hockey game? No. Would Matthew Schaefer have won that hockey game? No.
We don't know. Trevor, my guy Trevor Harris writes in, not the one you know, Mitch. Trevor Harris from WQAM Miami says, "What up, Rod? Hey, Trevor, we're sitting here crying in our beer today. Thanks for coming by." You know what they're doing. I told you at the start of the show, my American friends are all tuning in, wanting to see the Canadians cry about this. At the very least, our viewers have not appeased them. They've been very congratulatory.
Let's just say this, Rod,
that is.
In 2 weeks, will they even care about this anymore?
No. And if they had lost, they would have forgotten by supper time. I will say this. I don't know if you follow any of the USA hockey accounts tonight, but all the U.S. players are flying into Miami today. And there's a party at a club in Miami tonight called 11. Yep. Just so you know, Mitch, I won't be there.
Okay.
I'll be in bed. Yeah. David in Winnipeg writes in. He says, "Here's to hoping 20 years ago, I'd have been in the middle of the dance floor." You know that. David number 1 writes in. He says, "Here's to hoping Hellebuck plays lights out like yesterday the rest of the way for the Jets. Props to USA." Brendan writes in and says, "Agree, Scruffy. Management always gets blamed in losses and rarely gets their flowers in wins. Woulda, coulda, shoulda." That same Trevor from Miami writes in, Mitch, and he goes, "I've tuned into and saw Sid Sixero cry." Sid aside, Sid aside, Tim and Sid, because I like Sid. I like him and Tim. The media, in a lot of ways, have embarrassed themselves, and mostly Toronto media. I don't mind saying, and we're not on Game Plus today, so maybe nobody's paying attention. Can you act like adults? Just the crap that's being. I get it from fans. I expect it from fans. I don't expect it from the media. Yeah. I don't want to name any names, but it's just sad, man. The media has become fans, and I'm sorry, you don't have any credibility. You don't have credibility in my mind, Roddy, if you're a fan.
On this one, I understand where you're coming from on this one, and I don't necessarily disagree. But this wasn't an NHL game. This wasn't an NFL game. This was Canada versus the U.S. And I know with you, being the longtime voice of the Saskatchewan Roughriders, you would call it the way the Saskatchewan Roughrider fan wanted to hear it. Were you a homer? Yeah, you were. If you were doing a game on TSN, would you be the same Rod Pedersen if the Riders were playing Edmonton? No, I don't think you would. So, if you're talking about the broadcast panel and the way they looked at this tournament, I had no problem with it because they were openly rooting for Canada.
That's fine. Stop for a sec. The American broadcasters were cheering for the USA. I get that. Okay. And by the way, I didn't see a single second of Sportsnet or CBC's coverage of the hockey. And that's fine because, as somebody said, Eddie Olczyk, Kenny Albert, and Brian Boucher were putting on a clinic of a hockey broadcast. And they were. I didn't mind them cheering for the. Initially, I was a little bit because Eddie is like, this is how they're going to have to beat Bennington. I'm like, what do you mean? Oh, right. This is the American broadcast. Okay. But there's an on-air / producer at Sportsnet who went off saying, basically, piss off America. You don't care about hockey. The other 4 years out of the, except for one day, give it to us. We care more. I'm like, what? Grow up. That's what I'm saying. And with the media,
okay,
listen.
I didn't see
hang
that.
on, hang on. But let me finish. You saying me being the voice of the team, I get that. But when we won, I got a ring. As a matter of fact, I got 2. So when I look at these panelists or producers or bloggers that are going off, I'm like, you're not getting a ring. You're not traveling with these guys. Why do you care so much? That's the difference to me. That's the difference. You're not getting a ring.
More than fair. But you know where I'm coming from, too.
Yes, I do. Well, it's national. Sure. I totally get that. Rob in Las Vegas writes in, who, by the way, is from Winnipeg. He says, I told my devastated sons to appreciate Canada playing in such an exciting gold medal game. When I was their age, the Soviets won every gold medal, and our college kids placed 8th every Olympics. Very good point. It was a hell of a hockey game. I guess there's a life lesson in there. You're not always going to win. And by the way, for the Tkachuk haters, I mean, you're an Oiler fan. What's yours? If you want to hate Scruffy, Mitch, I get it. I would not call you a homer. But the one thing, I put it in my column today, the Monday Morning Goalie, you can call him out if you want. You can call him a passenger. I've seen people say that. 2 Stanley Cups, an Olympic gold. What guys bring to a team doesn't always show up on the stat sheet. And the hockey people know that. He's a winner. He doesn't give we're not on TV right now. He doesn't give a shit what anybody says about him. Nor should he.
Sidney Crosby did not have a great Vancouver 2010. But Sidney Crosby will be remembered for 2010 because of what he did at the end. Matthew Tkachuk and Brady Tkachuk did not have a role in that game yesterday. They were invisible. I didn't really see a lot with them. Was Austin Matthews even a part of this team? Like, I heard people talking yesterday, oh, you got to stop bitching about Austin Matthews now. Hey, he was the captain. He's the guy that's going to be the one that they remember as being the captain. What did he bring in the room? I don't know. But I know that Sid brought a lot to the Canadian room, even when he was hurt.
How on earth could anybody pick apart the roster of the team that won?
Right, but they
get out of here with Austin Matthews. Austin Matthews also doesn't give a shit what anybody thinks, nor should he.
I completely agree with you. Matthew
DeBuck, writing in from Fort Lauderdale. He's a football coach here in Florida. He's from Montreal. Do you mind me saying that, Matt? He writes in, he says, all sizzle, no steak, RP. He's talking about Team Canada, and he says McDavid was a no-show yesterday. Sorry for outing you, Matt, but you did say that. He texted me that. I ignored it. I don't really want to go there, but do you?
Do I think McDavid was a no-show?
Mm-hmm.
No.
Okay.
McDavid could have had 3 points yesterday, but Connor Hellebuck stoned them.
Okay.
Was it not McDavid that passed the puck to McKinnon when he hit the post in the open net?
Not saying he's right. Okay. I didn't.
Well, that's just a stupid take to say he wasn't he was a no-show. Sorry, Matt, that's a bad take.
You're stupid, Coach. But I've told you that at least 5 times, Coach DeBuck.
There were guys on Team Canada yesterday that I thought were no-shows, but Connor McDavid was not one of them.
John Ohm says, I'm happy for Hellebuck, sad for Canada. The reffing was suspect. John goes on to say,
why do we always have to deflect on the reffing if the team doesn't win? Like, can we be better than that, please?
Because the losing fans usually do. That's just a given. I'm surprised it took this long. John Ohm also goes on to say, if Crosby played, we would have won. He was the glue to this Canadian team. Jeremy in Winnipeg says the Olympics showed how special Crosby is as a player in person, and for 20 years, so many people pissed on him. He's the best. He is the best. There's no doubt. Now it's I gotta walk this back a little bit. Bill in Toronto, or from Toronto, he now lives in Regina, says, was Matthews not on the ice when the overtime goal was scored? He was, wasn't he? I'm pretty sure he was.
It was Hughes, Werenski, and I don't know who the third guy was, but I think Matthews was on the ice the shift before, because Matthews started overtime. But I think he had gone to the bench. I'd have to look.
Jason in Red Deer says, I will also say the reffing was terrible, but that didn't cost us the win. John from Edmonton writes in, he says, Trump said hockey is now an American sport. We got to
for him.
Stop for a second. I don't want to go crazy, but I'll say this. The White House tweeted, you saw what they what? The White House.
I saw
yeah.
it.
The Baldy or the American
I also
Eagle.
saw a great line, which I will not.
Just hang on. I was in the middle of a story. I was in the middle of a story there. The White House tweeted the photo of the American Eagle basically rubbing the Canada Goose's face into the ground, and then retweeted Trudeau, his tweet that said, you can't take our country and you can't take our game. You know what I thought when I saw that? I thought, he doesn't speak for us anymore. But it's just fun. Okay, you were going to say?
I was going to say, I saw a quote yesterday. I won't repeat it. I'll maybe text it to you after the show. I laughed hard over it. It was very funny.
We can't leave us hanging like that.
Well,
how
no,
bad?
I can, because I'm not going to say it. So,
okay.
Let's just say
Ryan in Upstate.
Some other stuff that Trump's involved with right now that he doesn't want to ignore.
Okay, Ryan in Upstate New York says no. It was Dylan Larkin was the third U.S. player. Okay. Jeff the Stamps fan says the FBI director was celebrating with the team in the locker room, which I'm actually glad you brought that up, Kash Patel, because my sponsor Bob's texting me that he's all wild about Patel. He's issued a statement, by the way, who said, yeah, I was in the dressing room with Team USA. I'm a fan. And now you got people in America going, how can you be celebrating in Italy when Nancy Guthrie's mom is missing and there's Epstein stuff? And I'm like, the guy's got to live. And I didn't even know who Kash Patel was until a month ago. So
where you been?
Well, I haven't needed him. I just see him in the news all the time. So, oh boy, it's getting really interesting and spicy. Mitchell will be back with us right after this break. Dennis Bernstein coming up in hour 2, the Los Angeles bureau chief from NHL Radio and thefourthperiod.com. Get your questions and comments in, everybody. We'll be right back. We're not on television today. That accounts for a large streaming audience that we have, and we appreciate you all for finding us here on YouTube. We'll be right back. Also, podcast and WQVZ Radio.
Ultimate Fan Zone, taking our show on the road coast to coast. Shop online, ultimatefanzone.ca. Slick, user-friendly. We built this site for the die-hard sports fans. Jerseys, hats, team apparel, offering officially licensed fan gear from the best lines in sports. Nike, New Era, Adidas, Fanatics. Game day ready to your door. Now, just a click away. ultimatefanzone.ca or check us out on Facebook and Instagram. UFZ Downtown Moose Jaw, home of everything authentic.
Hold on tight, Moose Jaw. Professional bull riding is back. PBR Canada charges into the Temple Garden Center April 25th. See the toughest riders take on the rankest bulls in a night of non-stop edgier seat action. Whether you're a diehard fan or brand new to PBR, this is one show you don't want to miss. Tickets are on sale now at sastix.ca or at the box office. But don't wait, they'll sell fast. Professional Bull Riding Canada in Moose Jaw.
Proudly presented by Pedersen Developments Limited.
You have a vision, a big idea. But how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events. That's the EMJ difference. We
position your brand where it belongs, Guy, through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina. This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with The Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more, there's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Okay. It's a Monday. Scruffy's with me, and I'm going to give more evidence of a lot of Americans have shown up here today hoping to bathe themselves in Canadians' tears. We're not going to give them the satisfaction, okay? So we're going to win with class and lose with class because that's what we do. Jeff, the Stamps fan, writes in. He says, I'm all for the U.S. trolling Trudeau, LOL. He's from Calgary, so Lou in Michigan writes in. He says, so according to social media, now the mentality is if the big guns don't score the game winner, they're garbage. Nice. I didn't see that. Mitchell, before we look ahead to the second half of the NHL season, which to me it is the second half. I mean, this is the next 40%. Any more Olympic thoughts before we move on? We've done 30 minutes on the damn hockey game. I think we could move on.
No, as I said, we can sit and complain about the 3-on-3 format all you want, but at the end of the day, the U.S. won the hockey game. And it's not like they won the hockey game 7-1. They didn't outclass us. Were they fortunate to get to overtime? Yeah, they were, but they capitalized. As mentioned on your show a couple minutes ago. Was this the first time this has ever happened in hockey where a hot goaltender has stoned a team and his team has ended up winning a game that they probably shouldn't have? No. Will it happen again? Yes.
Yeah. Where the hell is it here? Vancouver Eric writes in, says, score more goals, Canada. Stop blaming the refs. Jeremy in Winnipeg writes in, he says, hang on. Eddie Benoit writes in, he goes, oh, America, our homeland, I love it. God bless America. Jeremy in Winnipeg says, I still like the U.S. as neighbors, just not how the game goes. I'm not going to bitch. Can we all get along? Is that possible? Because soon we're going to go back to bitching about actual politics. This is a little more fun in my mind. Okay, yeah. The second half. How about this? The Vegas Golden Knights would not be in a playoff spot if they were in the Eastern Conference. And because they're first in the Pacific, that means nobody in the Pacific would be in the playoffs in the East. So is this going to change over the next 40%? Or what the hell's... Like, pretty soon we got to close the book on the Olympics and get into this very delicious NHL home stretch, which I'm saying starts Wednesday night.
There are a lot of teams that during the Olympic break would have had to take a look at their squad and go, what are we doing moving forward? Teams that are right on the cusp of being in a playoff spot, teams that have a playoff spot right now, but maybe are in danger of losing it. There's a lot of teams that had to do a lot of soul searching over the Olympic break. And we'll see what happens coming out of it. And I'd be very interested to see what's going to happen in some of the dressing rooms where you have a Canadian player and an American player now being teammates again. Like Jake Gensel walking into the Tampa Bay dressing room. Hi, Coach. Hi, Brendan Hagel.
Oh, I was sitting here thinking.
Same with Florida. Same
I know.
with
I know
Vegas.
That. All these
Like,
Lightning
it's
fans
be
that
interesting to see how that dynamic plays itself out. Because it's different than Four Seasons or Four Nations.
Yeah, you think Canadians and Oiler fans hate Tkachuk? You should see how Lightning fans feel about this.
Oh, I can imagine.
Mother bugger.
I want to know what type of reaction Connor Hellebuck will get in Winnipeg.
They love him no matter
For the
what.
first home game for the Jets.
They love that guy.
I know they do.
Yeah, no. He's good. Coach DeBuck, you didn't scare him off, Scruffy, by saying his comment was stupid. He says, 99 is the best of all time. He loves Canada and the U.S. He wore a maple leaf on his jacket. Win the game. To the victors go the spoils. That's why we keep score. If you didn't, nobody would care. That's what I also put in my column today is if you hate Tkachuk, you better get some big earplugs because he's going to be an icon of the game for the next 50 years. Mitch, you and I grew up on hearing about Jim Craig, Mike Eruzione, Dave Christian, Herb Brooks. Tkachuk's now in that. For 50 years, school kids are going to learn about this guy. He ain't going away.
Yep.
He's not
Jack
going away.
Hughes is no longer Tate McRae's boyfriend. Jack Hughes is America's hero.
I thought it was Luke Hughes.
Nope.
I thought it was Luke Hughes. I can't keep him all
brother.
straight.
Luke is one of the many Hughes brothers.
She likes her hockey players. Good for her. She's a good Canadian gal.
She's a Calgary girl.
Right. Jeremy says, I can't wait to see the Detroit Red Wings make the playoffs. Yeah. Scott in Vancouver says, could be a flurry of trades this week. I'm not sure what the rules are on that. Well, whenever the freeze is up, away they go.
It's up.
But I got to say
I
this.
think it was
Is it up
this morning? I think
okay. Well,
ended this morning.
Just so you know, Mitch, you of all people, you are a small select group of people that understand where I come from when I say this. We were on the Panthers trading Bobrovsky a couple of weeks ago. I brought it up with you, right? And I was afraid to bring it up because I didn't want to. I got PTSD. And you might a little bit from our past role in just reporting the truth, you know? So now all of a sudden, guess whose name's coming up on the trade block? Sergei Bobrovsky.
To Montreal is what I'm hearing. And we talked about that last week.
What did we say?
Because I said if Montreal gives up Jacob Fowler, it's a huge mistake to take a rental with Bobrovsky.
They need a goalie. They want to win a Stanley Cup. They're a very good team. It might actually end up being a great poll question. I would be afraid to even ask the Panthers if somebody else can ask, because you know why? I couldn't wait to get to Panthers practice on Saturday to ask Paul Maurice about coaching Team Finland. And
by the way, how did that turn out? Finland won a bronze medal. How did that turn out, Finland?
What do you mean?
Well, they were all mad because obviously they didn't like the coaching that they were getting, and they wanted Paul Maurice. Finland won a bronze medal. And you were one shot away from being in the gold medal game.
Well,
how'd that turn out,
beyond all of that, Pomo, maybe if they had Paul Maurice, they'd have won gold or been in the gold medal game. There's a lot of ways to look at that, which is similar to Paul being, he was uneasy with the question. I don't know if you saw the clip, and I didn't think he would be. I thought he would say, hey, I'd take their call. Hey, very flattering. But no, he's like, they got enough coaches. I'll stay in Fort Lauderdale. I'm good. He's like, he didn't want to answer it. I'm like, did I say something wrong? I totally did not expect he would answer it that way. Because I'll say it again. Maybe if Paul Maurice was their coach, they do win. Does that argument hold water, Mitch, to you? They'd be better.
Good.
You didn't win gold, so that means you could be better.
Well, Mike Sullivan is the coach of the New York Rangers. Where are they in the standings right now? Oh, he has a gold medal. He coached that team to a gold, so.
Now it's. I know. Where does it end? Oh, by the way, we're going to have to run for a break here. Hopefully we don't get cut off. But James Duthie's question of Gretzky, I saw him getting roasted for that until I actually watched the clip. He couldn't have handled it better, to the point that I think he teed that up with Gretzky. Wayne, how would you like to handle this? Just say, James, that I've been pulled into this, and I'll take it from there. It couldn't have been handled better by those two. How did you feel about that?
If you're not going to tell me that Wayne and James talked about this before that went to air, because you and I both know the stories about, hey, can you lead me into this at some point? So don't tell me that caught Gretzky off guard.
You're saying they would have teed that up?
Absolutely.
Yeah, me too. So that's why, because we're running out of time, we got like a minute and a half, but the social media has took a lot of fun out of the Olympics for me. Because it's like, how can you not look at that and not realize that's what happened? James, like, how would you like to handle this, Wayne? It was seamless. And then there's people ripping Wayne, there's people ripping Duthie. Why am I even reading this? Because you're idiots. They don't know. They don't know, Ron. Like that's the advantage that you and I have. Go ahead.
I thought we were running out of time there. That's the advantage you and I have. We have seen behind the scenes stuff. We have been approached by people to say, hey, can you ask so-and-so a question today? Because he wants to get something off his chest.
Which, by the way, there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that at all.
Nope.
So it's national television in Canada. Let's let Wayne handle this the way that he would like, because you know what? He's earned that. And because Duthie is the pro of all pros, there's nothing wrong. That's the way it should go, in my mind.
Agreed. Yep.
Okay, Mitch. We'll see you tomorrow. This has been fantastic.
Take care, Roddy. We'll talk to you tomorrow.
All right. We got a whole lot of other things that we haven't even got to yet, and we will right after this break. The Western Dodge text line's open. We'll be right back.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more, there's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more, there's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
You have a vision, a big idea. But how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events. That's the EMJ difference. We position your brand where it belongs, Guy, through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
Okay. This is going fabulously. I wish Scruffy could have hung in with us, but time doesn't allow for that. Not on Game Plus TV today. We will be on Silver State Sports Entertainment Network next hour, home of the Golden Knights, and we will have Dennis Bernstein with us from NHL Radio. He is the Los Angeles bureau chief out there. Rich in Edmonton writes, and he goes, "It's why we come to this show, the voice of reason." I would not go that far, but I got a few stories on that. Number one, breaking news I just learned. You all were watching the hockey game yesterday, depending on which feed, the Canadian feed, the U.S. feed, and the American one, they said, all those NHL players were going to be flown to New York today, but because of the huge snowstorm up in the Northeast, they're all coming to Miami. And here's the deal. I just saw on the break, 2 double-decker buses have been rented by USA Hockey. They're going to be going around South Beach tonight, 40 miles from where I'm sitting right now, and partying with the locals. What could possibly go wrong? I kind of like the fact that we're not on national television today, just streaming, because I can swear a little more. You're getting the real me. As Tiger Williams says, you put hockey players and beer together, shit's going to happen. South Beach tonight, I won't be there. No. Can you imagine? I've been part of those things. Who's this 53-year-old hanging around? I don't want to be that guy. Glenn in Medicine Hat, don't inject logic into this. The poll question is, did the best team win Olympic gold? Glenn writes in, he says, doesn't the scoreboard typically tell us who the best team is? Does anything else matter? Well, that's how you and I see it, Glenn. I'm being facetious, of course, but 81% of respondents to our EMJ marketing poll say no, the best team didn't win. 81% say no. And that's why I'm just imploring. There's a lot of life lessons here. I'm imploring everybody today that's Canadian and is sour to win with class. Scott writes in, where is Scott? He's in Orlando, Florida, watching, and he says, scoreboard says yes, the best team won. Cry harder, Canada. Can we please not? Can we give Team USA their flowers and just say the game ended on Sunday instead of having them say, it's like winning another gold medal, seeing all the Canadian hockey fans cry over this? Can we? That's not us. At least it never used to be. Okay, hang on. Jason in Red Deer writes in and says, why in the world would the Florida Panthers trade Bob? Are they not interested in a three-peat? Because he's on an expiring contract, Jason. So this is what, I'm glad you asked. The prevailing feeling here is the Panthers got to come out of the cannon hot because they're 8 points out of a playoff spot right now. So if they do a face plant in the next 5-6 games, they got to trade Bob, get something back for him. He's going to come right back and sign here July 1st anyways. I first thought of this like 3 weeks ago, and I swear if I thought of it 3 weeks ago, Bill Zito probably thought of it 2 months ago. But I was afraid to bring it up because I got PTSD from reporting the way my mind works. Some people don't like that in the sports business. Coach DeBuck writes in, this is an interesting one. He says, how much were the tickets on average for the gold medal game? Glad you brought that up. And I don't know where he is today. Brent from Wellington, Florida. He looked up the tickets. You could get into the game for $235. I don't know what you could get in. Okay. Which to me, all I need is to be in the building. I remember, I got, those Facebook things. It came up the other day, 10 years ago, 2016. It was Larry Fitzgerald night at an Arizona Coyotes hockey game, and the opponents were the Pittsburgh Penguins. Sidney Crosby, 10 years ago. And my friends were all convening in the owner's suite, and they didn't have a ticket for me. And I didn't have a media pass either. Why I didn't ask, I don't know. So I just walked up to the ticket window back when you could do that. I rode my dinosaur up to the ticket window at Gila River Arena in Glendale, Arizona, and I said, can I just buy one ticket? And she goes, yeah. Where? I said, just give me the cheapest ticket. $60 to get into the building to watch Sidney Crosby and the Penguins. And then as it turned out that night, I got a text from the owner, Gary Drummond, said, what the hell? I heard you're down in the crowd. Get up here. I'm like, I don't have a ticket for this suite, Drum. He's like, they all know you. Just get up here. And I went up there, ended up meeting Larry Fitzgerald that night. Do you want to hear that story? Or I will say this. I was standing in the corner of the suite because there was a lot of interesting things going on. And this neuroscientist walks over to me and goes, I heard that you are from the Canadian Football League. At the time I was. I said, yeah. He goes, I'm a neuroscientist at the Mayo Clinic. We're studying CTE. What is the CFL's stance on CTE? I said, their stance is that it's inconclusive, just like the NHL's at that time. And he goes, that's not true, right? I'm like, well, I'm telling you what they want us to say. You all think that's not true, but I ran into an astronaut here. I was telling that story the other day. I ran and met an astronaut at a Panthers game last month. He was like 5'9". I said, aren't you a little tall to be an astronaut? He goes, Mark Pathy, he's from Toronto. And he goes, what do you mean? I said, the last time I was at NASA, they told me you can't be an astronaut if you're over 5'7". He's like, oh, that's an old thing. Nobody told me. They've updated that. Oh, we got some good stuff coming in there. Oh, my God. Come on. Let's not. You hear, but you don't listen. Jason in Red Deer says, you cannot honestly tell me that the USA was the better team. They won because one more puck went into our net than theirs, but Canada vastly outplayed the U.S. in every aspect except goaltending. What are you talking? Please, I was cheering for Canada, but I can at least look at this honestly. You missed oodles of empty nets. And then when you did actually hit the net, like the multiple breakaways you had, you couldn't beat Connor Hellebuck. You had a 5-on-3. You whiffed on that. You left Jack Hughes uncovered in overtime. There's a litany. That's a Molotov cocktail. A recipe for losing. All the things that they were the better team because they outshot them. So what? Oh my God. Rob is watching and says in Windthorst, as a Canadian, I would have. Oh, Jason goes on to say, so let's say the best goaltender won. Who cares? The goalies are part of the team. FYI. Jeremy in Winnipeg. Thanks, Rod, for filling my birthday morning with sports talk. At your service. Thank you, Rob. Rob says, last time I checked, the goalie was part of the team. Right? Well, you wouldn't have beat me in the race, but your car was faster than mine. So that same Rob says, as a Canadian, I would have liked it if Canada had won. As a Bruins fan, I am excited to see if the gold medals for Charlie McAvoy and Jeremy Swayman propel the Bruins into the playoffs. Who knows, right? That's what we all got to tune in for. Tony in Cochrane, Alberta says Canada was very lucky to be in the gold medal game. 2 calls, offside, and goalie interference mysteriously went our way. Very lucky. Well, let's say this. It was a fantabulous tournament of hockey. A lot of overtime games. Got our nerves, all worked up. That's what you want. It was great. We just didn't win in the end, and let's try not to be butthurt about it. By the way, I know some people may have tuned in here because we put on the thumbnail expansion. We've got through one topic of the Quick 6 show topics here today. One, which isn't surprising. Canada, USA, we got viewers from both countries and fans of both teams tuning in. That's fine. And I'm not going to bring it up in the second hour when we go to television in Nevada, this point about CFL expansion. But if you're dying for the talk, it's in my Monday morning goalie column, point 7 or 8. I took those remaining biggest names from CFL free agency and made a expansion team out of them. You tell me if you think this team would have actually won some games or not. Quarterback, McLeod Bethel-Thompson, Jeremiah Masoli, just some of them. There's actually a lot of guys. Sean Thomas Erlington in the backfield, William Stanbeck. Receivers, DeForest Daniels, Dominic Rhymes, Mitch Picton. Kicker, Brett Lowther. Punter, Richie Leone. On the D-line, Sean Lemon, Anthony Lanier, Lorenzo Molden IV. I think they'd win 5 games. From WHL 1986 says, Jeff Merrick yesterday insinuated that the Panthers have been quietly shopping Bobrovsky. What's your read on the situation, Rod? My read is that I was on it 3 weeks ago. That's what my read is on it. Phil writes in, he says, the only time I get all butthurt over something not going my way is when my table gets picked last at a foul supper. Well, of course, but there are some of these banquets you can pay to go first, and I would suggest that you do that. Oh, boy. Coach Matt DeBuck down here in Fort Lauderdale says, a Canadian team wins the Stanley Cup this year. Book it. I would have thought more so last year when we had more Canadian teams in the Stanley Cup playoffs for the first time since 1993 than this year, where we spent half a season with no Canadian team in a Western Conference playoff spot at all. But you might be right. Again, that's why we all have to tune in. Let's roll this over into next hour. Everybody that showed up, all the things that you want to talk about, we're handling it just fine. Plus the things we haven't got to yet, we will right after this.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
You have a vision, a big idea, but how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events, that's the EMJ difference. We position your brand where it belongs, Guy, through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw-up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
You have a vision, a big idea, but how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events, that's the EMJ difference.
We position your brand where it belongs, Guy, through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more. There's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
How about that?
It's the RP Show. It's a brand new week. Oh, and we're in one. We're in one today. Welcome, everybody. Welcoming viewers across Nevada on the Silver State Sports and Entertainment Network. We're not on Game Plus television today across Canada, but that's okay. That's okay because we're streaming. We're on YouTube Live. Howdy. And we are a little over 24 hours after Canada losing to the USA in the gold medal game of the Olympics. Joining us to talk about it tonight, if you're watching it in prime time in Las Vegas or across Nevada, is Dennis Bernstein, our boy Dennis. I just met him at the Winter Classic, and I don't know if he feels the same way as me, but we clicked. I'm a big fan of Dennis Bernstein. He's the Los Angeles bureau chief from NHL Radio and also a writer at thefourthperiod.com where he covers the Kings. He'll be coming up next hour. But before I jump into, let's get into it. Point one of the Quick Six Show topics. 46 years to the day after a bunch of unheralded amateurs stunned the heavily favored Soviets en route to winning the Olympic gold medal in men's hockey, the U.S. hockey team engineered another epic victory. Jack Hughes scored in overtime, and the USA beat Canada 2-1 Sunday morning to claim America's first Olympic men's hockey gold medal since 1980. I have written in all caps at the end of that, please discuss. And boy, oh boy, have we been doing that today. As you join us across Nevada, it's hour 2 of the show. So a lot of Americans have showed up today, and unfortunately, they're getting what they wanted. It didn't start out that way, but it's morphed that way. It's a lot of Canadians' tears. The U.S. hockey fans are bathing themselves in Canadian tears, and I didn't want that. What's the evidence? Well, the comments that have come in from the viewers for one. 902-518-3033 is the text line to do that. Yeah, hi. Brought to you by Western Dodge. Experience the Western Dodge difference. Local, reliable, and driven to find the perfect vehicle for you. 902-518-3033. And the poll is brought to you by EMJ Marketing every day. The poll question, it is, did the right team win the gold medal? 81% of respondents saying, no, the right team didn't win. And that's kind of what we've been going back and forth. You can't, I guess it's a perspective thing. Well, what am I going to say? John Cooper's wrong, the head coach of the Tampa Bay Lightning, a Canadian from Prince George, BC, who graduated Notre Dame College in the same class as my brother in 1986. John Cooper, a Canadian if there ever was one, saying 3-on-3 hockey isn't, I think his term was it's not real hockey. And he goes, there's a reason it's not used in the Stanley Cup playoffs. I mean, there is that school of thought. But if you listen to the full clip, which I did on NHL radio, and shout out to my boy Scott Laughlin. He did the post-game show on NHL radio. He's a Canadian. He's from Toronto. We used to work together at the Score. It sounded like he was reading a eulogy at a funeral. I'm like, I get it. But please don't give the U.S. hockey fans, which to me, in a way, it was a bit of a win-win, and I'll get to that in a minute. Don't give them their due. Can you just win with class? Lose with class. Say the better team won and move on instead of complaining about the rules of overtime. Both teams got to play them, or the officials missing calls, or whatever. Let's just admit the USA is a better team. That's the scary part, and look in the mirror and go, oh, what did we do wrong? Because I actually put that on our Facebook page. I invite anybody watching right now to follow the Rod Pedersen Show on Facebook. I said, what could Canada have done better? Because that's what winners do, and trust me, Hockey Canada was doing that before their head hit the pillow Sunday night. Some lady writes in and goes, it's over, move on. Wish we could. Why I say it's win-win, I was more wrought with anxiety in the quarterfinal and the semifinal for Canada and for the U.S. as well, because I wanted that matchup. When it comes to them meeting, I was kind of sitting there at Brent's in Wellington. We had a nice breakfast he put out, going, I'm not as riddled with anxiety over this, because if the USA wins, I live here. We're on the air in Nevada. I live in Florida. Tkachuk is the face of USA hockey. That's not the worst thing in the world. It is for Canada, however. And I get how the fans in Canada hate Tkachuk and all that. Listen, let's not get it twisted. It's been very entertaining. What the people have been saying out of Canada, especially about the Canucks. Some of the comments that have come in to our social media channels are, let's just say, immature on the high end, unbelievably vulgar on the low end. But what we've learned quickly here from our Nevada audience is they love our show for a variety of reasons. They love the Canadian tinge to it because they don't get that. But in the case of Matthew Tkachuk, we grew up as Canadian kids learning about the game, just like American kids learned about football, which is a whole other topic, basketball and baseball. But they didn't learn about hockey in the States. They didn't. But we grew up, we knew of Jim Craig and Mike Eruzione and Dave Christian and head coach Herb Brooks of Team USA, because that's just what we learned. Tkachuk is now in the pantheon of that as a gold medal winning player for Team USA and the last 2 Stanley Cups. So all I'm saying is, if you really hate Tkachuk, I get it. But if you want to say he's a passenger, which is like a hockey term for somebody that doesn't contribute, you're just a passenger. He don't care. He's got the cups. He's got the gold. And as we sit here right now on his way to South Beach to party with his USA teammates on 2 double-decker buses that they've rented, they don't care what anybody says about how they played. Where was Austin Matthews? I don't know where he was in the game, but I know where he is tonight, getting pissed. That sounds like. With the gold medal around his neck, because they won. That's the life lesson in all of this. Again, the Canadian hockey players, this is not an indictment of Hockey Canada. And what a soapbox I'm on here, right? They know why they lost. They're not the ones doing the whining. They're not. It's the fans. And I'm saddened to say the media. That's what's disappointed me the most. I'm just like, yeah, I'm the biggest homer of all time when I was in that role. I get it, but I was also getting paid by the team. I have championship rings to prove it. I can give myself a pass. You're a producer at Sportsnet. What are you calling out Americans for, saying you don't care about hockey, so why you care now? Oh, my God. Jeff the Stamps fan says, back then, when we were kids, Olympic hockey players didn't carry the same attraction as they were not NHLers. So what are you saying? We still knew about them because we grew up as Canadian kids and hockey kids. American kids are now going to grow up learning about these guys, which is off-ramp here to whatever town. But I'm listening to Mike Florio this morning and Chris Sims, as I always do. out for my run on NBC Sports Radio. They're my favorite guys. But Florio ticked me off a little bit, but he was just saying the truth. This is on me. It's not on him. He said 2.5 million people. They were guessing how many people would have watched because they don't know what the ratings are yet for that gold medal game. They guessed 25 to 30 million is what we'll hear. And they said Stanley Cup final last year, what was it? Vegas and Edmonton had 2.5 million viewers in America on average. And Florio's like, we get double that in the NFL for a preseason game. Like what? And Sims was trying to say that this wasn't good for the NHL, that the Olympics are another level past them. And then they got complaining about how you can't play tackle football in the Olympics. I'm like, well, that's your problem. This is actually a great thing. It's a great thing for the NHL and for hockey. And if it wasn't, they wouldn't have done it. So that was a couple of American football guys talking about something they don't know about. And that's why I try to limit that from this chair. I only talk about what I know about. That's why you're here. That's why Craig is here from the Hockey Hall of Fame in Toronto. Craig writes in, he says, it was a good, tight game that showcased hockey well. However, a tied game is only one shot away from winning gold or silver. Again, don't introduce logic into this. We want to panic. I say that fully tongue-in-cheek because, again, had Canada, which they really weren't even close to winning it in overtime from what I saw, but had they won in overtime, the Americans move on. They don't care. I get the emotion in Canada. Trust me, I do. I've lived there for a half a century. All I'm saying is, can we keep it to yourself? Because the American hockey fans are just loving the Canadian tears. That's how I opened this show today, saying they want to bathe in Canadian tears, and we're giving it to them. Jeff the Stamps fan says, I can't name one member of the 1988 Canadian Olympic team other than Sean Burke. Why are you trying to turn this into an argument? All I'm saying is, did we even win gold that year? I don't even know. I guess it wasn't NHLers, but we all remember 1980. Maybe it's marketing. There's been movies made about it, bro. The only movie made about the 88 Olympics was the Jamaican bobsled team starring John Candy. There's no movie made about any Canadian Olympic team, but there was about her. But what are you getting at? Sea Lightning writes in, he says, even if Canada would have won this pond hockey, it would have been tainted. Just like a shootout. Oh, my God. 902-518-3033. Oh, thank you, Tony from Cochrane, Alberta. He writes in, he says, the Blue Jays are back on the tube. Woohoo! Looks like they've found some pitchers and a few power bats. Well, while we're sitting here, and I will tell you that Dennis Bernstein is coming up next from NHL Radio, the LA Bureau Chief. This was actually point 2 of my quick 6 show topics. I even got to it. It's been an hour and 10 minutes on the USA-Canada game, which should surprise nobody. Point 2, the Toronto Blue Jays will be aiming to improve their Grapefruit League record at 2-1 Monday when they play the New York Mets at TD Ballpark in Dunedin. Jays opened their preseason schedule with a 3-0 win over the Phillies on Saturday before dropping an 11-10 decision to the Boston Red Sox Sunday. Jays opened their regular season on March 27th. Here's what I was thinking as I was channel surfing, and for NESN, New England Sports Network, is part of our cable package here, so I'm surfing, and I'm like, oh, Red Sox Blue Jays. Turn it on from Fort Myers, and I got to give the Red Sox a lot of credit, how they have green backdropping behind the home plate. It looked just like Fenway Park, but it was Fort Myers, Florida. So I'm watching the Blue Jays, Tony, because I'm a Jays fan. Look what I'm wearing today. Didn't know one player on the field, and I'm like, I don't feel like getting into it at this point of the calendar or of my life. And I ended up watching Netflix and quite enjoyed it. Well, what did I watch, you ask? The documentary on Netflix called Poop Cruise, which was kind of disturbing. And then three episodes of the Epstein documentary. I got one more to go. We're brought to you in part by Outlaw Communications. Does your message stand out? At Outlaw Communications, we make sure it does. We craft bold strategies, sharp leadership training, and content that makes people lean in and listen. See what they're all about at TonyPlater.com. We're also brought to you in part by Pump Jack's Steakhouse and Saloon, where they had a live viewing audience for the Canada-USA game. Come early, stay late at the place where friends meet. Pump Jack's Cathedral, Pump Jack's Weyburn. Point 3. The Olympics were a nice diversion from everything else going on, right? The Toronto Raptors, remember them? Who won back-to-back road games in Chicago and Milwaukee, returned home Tuesday to host the NBA defending champion Oklahoma City Thunder. The Raptors are 5th in the East with a 34-23 record, while the Thunder lead the West at 44-14. Both teams have won 2 in a row. I guess while we're sitting here, look, one thing about this show, you know it. You may not like what I say, but at least you know I'm not lying. I didn't really care about any of the other Olympic sports other than men's hockey and a little bit women's hockey because I did watch the games. But here is your... The Milan Cortina Olympics wrapped up yesterday with a colorful closing ceremony in Verona, Italy. Canada finished 8th in the medal standings, earning 21 medals, including 5 gold, after collecting 13 in the second half of the games. It's the first time since 1994 that Canada has placed outside the top 5 at a Winter Olympics. Norway led all countries with 41 medals, including 18 gold. It's our lowest medal count since 1994, but nobody cares because we didn't win gold. There is something poetic in that. It's like Ricky Bobby learned, not from his dad. He learned it from Canadian hockey fans. If you're not first, you're last. Shake and bake. 902-518-3033, Western Dodge text line. Hey, Rodzilla. This is from Vintage Sasko. He writes in, hey, Rodzilla and Monster Mitch. That was our Hour 1 co-host. He says, what an Olympics. Congrats to USA on hockey gold. I'm amped for next week's World Baseball Classic. Canada going to shock the world. Get on board, y'all. Signed, Vintage Sasko. Dennis Bernstein from NHL Radio next. We're across Nevada on the Silver State Sports and Entertainment Network. Today, not live on Game Plus TV across Canada and 33 U.S. states, including California. But, of course, findable, YouTube Live, podcast, and WQVZ Radio, where they play us 3 to 5 Central every day across the U.S. South. WQVZ Radio. If you got questions for Dennis Bernstein, the Los Angeles Bureau Chief from NHL Radio and thefourthperiod.com, get him in to me now, streaming, or the Western Dodge text line, and we'll be right back after this.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with The Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more. There's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
You have a vision, a big idea. But how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events. That's the EMJ difference. We position your brand where it belongs, Guy, through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw-up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live. Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
Hi, we're back. By the way, sign up for the Rod Squad newsletter. It's free. It drops every Sunday, presented by Suds Full Service Car Wash. Fuel your fleet's finesse with Suds Regina's unbeatable cleaning packages. They'll shine like new every time. Speaking of shining, Dennis Bernstein joins us, the LA bureau chief from NHL Radio. You don't mind me calling you that, do you, DB?
No, of course not. Coolius calls me that all the time, so no, absolutely
I know.
not.
That's how I know. And thefourthperiod.com. All right, DB, joining us from Los Angeles. We got 20 minutes here. One question may take it all up. What's your take on the gold medal game, USA beating Canada in overtime 2-1, and then the ensuing fallout from Canadian hockey fans and media? Over to you.
Well, Nate said, what did he say? Who was the better team? The better team won the game. Simple as that, because they had the better goaltender. They executed when it counted. All right, so you could talk about you could talk about possession, you could talk about all those things. 5-on-3, didn't get it done. And the entire tournament, Rod, they weren't a very good team 5-on-5. They didn't produce much. Nate didn't produce much 5-on-5. So you could talk about it, but last year, 4 Nations, I was in Boston. Yours should have won that game. But Bennington was the better goaltender. So they reversed roles here. And Heilebuck was fantastic. But I go back to Rod, you know how players say they don't listen to the media, they don't read stuff? You kidding? Did you see the quotes after the game from Heilebuck? Oh, people don't understand goaltending. They don't understand my game. Vinny Trocheck. Yeah, I read the stuff. Like, me and GT Miller shouldn't have been on the team, but who killed the 5-on-3? So in the crucial part to the game, the U.S. was better, and that's why they won the game.
Okay, so with the Nathan McKinnon quote, let me go back. I took the quote to mean he felt Canada was the better team, but they just didn't win. You're saying Nathan McKinnon said the better team won, which was USA?
No, I agree. No. The better team won because they executed at the right time. So if you want, here's the thing. Canada owned the spreadsheet. You want to go take home the advanced stats and put it on your wall and with your silver medal, that's great. Like in a big spot, you didn't score a goal. You had a 5-on-3 with 5 elite players, and you couldn't get it done. Right? So, yeah, you weren't the better team. And not for nothing, they could have got knocked out in the quarterfinal. They could have got knocked out in the semifinal. So it wasn't like this was this team, okay, they dominated possession, but they dominated possession throughout the tournament, and all the games were close. So what does it tell me? You couldn't finish on your chances. You didn't bear down. So I'll debate the fact that you were the better team. If you're just looking at the shot clock, sure, that's not how games were won.
No, well, now we're getting somewhere. And I still want your take on the Canadian fans and media's reaction because you're on NHL radio, headquartered out of Toronto all the time. So they're still crying over it. And we're realizing here, you just said, I'm Canada. I'm from there.
Yeah.
You know, that's who I was cheering for.
Wave the flag.
We're used to, who doesn't? We're used to waltzing through these tournaments. We're used to it.
Sure.
And when we don't, it doesn't go over well. And maybe that's why we're sitting here today so upset, you know?
Well, it's compacted, though, now. Look, Game 7, you got your Blue Jays shirt on, okay? Game 7. Women's Olympic gold medal game. Men's gold. It's 3. Now, you did win 4 nations. But here's the thing, Rod. The margins have gone away. And it's not just the U.S. and Canada. Like, Czechia could have beat Canada. Sweden could have beat the U.S. There's not much separating these teams at the elite level, right? And for the Canadians, look, here's the thing. Especially with women's hockey, I think the registration over the last couple of years has increased by 60%. Like, we're going to pass Canada in women's hockey. We already have. 32-2 goal differential. They're the better team. I joke they were the best hockey team in the entire tournament, like men or women. And the U.S. is coming now. You know, there's tons of kids watching Jack Hughes and, you know, last night score that goal. And they're going to be the future. Roger, remember when you played college hockey back in the day? You never played in the NHL. And people are trying to compare this to Miracle on Ice. I'm like, first of all, this team beats that team 10-0. It's not close.
Oh.
It was a massive upset for obvious reasons. Like it was college kids playing against pros in 1980. But I think the magnitude of this game, because of the media platform it's on now, I think I watched the the U.S. Russia game in TNA on delayed tape, Rod. Like now, I don't know what the ratings are yet, but I'll say this: when it comes to hockey, Canada, get used to it. There's not much separating these teams. Canada could win World Cup of hockey. They could win the next Olympics, but it's not a could. It's not an assumption anymore. When a couple of years ago it was.
That's today's meme. Get ready for the heat. Get used to it. You're not wrong. You know what it is, DB? The truth hurts. We all know that. The truth hurts. So we didn't win the Olympics. I went back and checked the World Juniors. Not that I needed to, but I'm just, wait a minute. When's the last time we won? Sweden won last year, the World Juniors. USA 2 years before that. It's been since 2023. So this is not a pile on Canada thing, but this day was coming. Okay, this day was, it's not that to say that we're never going to win again, but I don't know. It was 1 goal in overtime. Maybe we're making too much of it, by the way.
Yeah.
It could have won.
We are. Yeah, no, there's no margins anymore, Rod. Like Finland could have, if Finland had Barkov, they could have won a gold medal. Like that's how close this is. I love, I had Finland. I love that team throughout. I called it. I said it's going to be U.S., Canada, Finland. That's how it's going to finish. Finland. Why were they successful? 3 things carry in international hockey when it's a 1-game tournament, right? It's physicality, it's structure, and it's goaltending. And they got all those facets. Yeah, was that a high stick? Of course it was at the end of the game. Did Nate embellish that high stick? Yeah, and the NHL probably gets called. But yeah, there's not much separating these things. So it's a toss. Everything's going to be a toss-up. You look at the advanced odds for the Olympics right now. It's probably going to be U.S., Canada co-favorites, Finland 3rd, Sweden 4th. But it's changed, Rob, because, look, let's be real. There's 335 million people in this country and more enjoying hockey and participating in hockey. So the sheer numbers, you're going to find the next Austin Matthews. You're going to find the next Jack Hughes. You have 3 Hughes brothers playing. Like the numbers, like when they stack up, when you could talk to population, that's what it's about. It's not that Canada's better or they have better players or U.S. It's the participation in the States that's evening things out.
It's great for guys like you and me. By the way, John in Winnipeg speaks for a lot of Canadians. John Ohm says, hockey is Canada's game, buddy. Americans are just cashing in.
It still is.
Yeah,
he's right. It's still Canada's game. No question.
There are those that just won't listen to logic. Now, before I want to talk about the next 40% of the NHL regular season, if that's what it is, you know what I'm saying? Whatever's left. But you say get used to it. This is what I'm saying to the Tkachuk haters. You're sick of hearing about Matthew Tkachuk. You better get used to it because I believe he is now in the pantheon of the Erozionis, Jim Craigs, Dave Christians, Herb Brooks. He has to be. Little kids are going to be learning about Matthew Tkachuk. So if you're sick of him now, you better get some big earplugs.
He's a winner. 2 cups, 1 gold medal. He's a winner. Love him or, and you know what? When he was playing in Calgary, you probably loved him. And now he's playing in Florida and he's playing for the U.S., so you probably hate him. And again, it's okay. Look, he had the all-time Hall of Fame chirp to Leon Draisaitl on the bench. Like, always a bridesmaid, never a bride. And the live mics picked that up. That was fantastic. It was great. He says, these guys are just so competitive. And I think look, I understand the tension between the U.S. and Canada, but when these guys after the game talked about how they love being Americans and how they played for their country and how proud they were, that warmed my heart, given the climate around these two countries. These are kids that just understood what it's like to represent their countries. And I'm sure the same thing I'm sure if Canada won, that Nate and Connor and McCarr would have said the same thing. I think that's one of my biggest takeaways is how proud these athletes are played to represent as much money as they make. And it's always about the money, right, Rod? But these guys were getting paid to play in these games. It was great to see the pure competition of the sport and how much pride both teams had in playing for their country.
It was about pride. You just said it, how proud they were. And what's the old ABC thing? Thrill of victory, agony of defeat. The pride on the U.S. faces, the pain on the Canadian faces. Oh, my, that's what we love about sports, but it hurts when you're on the wrong side of it. Okay, so as we pick I'm saying the playoffs are starting now. How do you feel about the rest of the way in the National Hockey League?
They started 20 games ago. Again, Rod, there's no separation. Here's in November, I said this. There was one team in 31 teams. The Avalanche were up here, and everybody else was down there. But if you look at the Avalanche lately, they're 4-5-1 into the break. And Rod, we talked about this season is unlike no other because of the Olympics, but because of the compressed schedule. And you thought schedule was compressed coming into the break? Watch what happens out of the break. Like the Kings here, they play 3 games in 4 nights coming out of the break. March is crazy with respect to the schedule. And on that, what's going to happen with Sidney Crosby? He didn't play the last 2 games. Pittsburgh's the number 2 seed in the Metro. Tampa's the number 1 seed in the East. Victor Hedman didn't play in the elimination game, right? Now, granted, Winnipeg, Marcy's out, but that doesn't really matter because they're out of it. There's not much separating these teams, Rod. And if Minnesota goes and gets a center at the deadline, maybe they trade for Trocheck, and Trocheck was taking pictures with the Wild staff during the Olympics, which was kind of funny. Like Colorado, there's not – Rod, it's up for grabs. It really is. There's probably 8 teams that could win it all, mostly in the West. But, I wouldn't sell Tampa Bay short. I think Florida's done and cooked. I think the 2 teams that are cooked in the East is Florida and Toronto. Like they're cooked. I don't see anything happening there. But it's wide open, Ron. It's a sprint to the finish right now.
Well, I've talked, as far as I'm concerned, I've talked enough about Sergei Bobrovsky, but what do you think? I was afraid to even broach the subject around here about trading him because you've been in Florida enough to know he's such an icon here, but from a business move, it makes sense to move him. I think if he's willing to go, they will trade him. Do you know anything about that with Bob?
No, because I don't think they want to wave the flag yet. Like, I think, they've got, 5 or 6 games before the trade deadline. People think, the trade deadline's a month away. No, it's like a couple of games away. They could, but I don't think – what are you going to get for the guy? He's a rental. And where are you going to trade? Like, the team that would need him would be Edmonton. There's no way they're going to fit him in the cap space. Like, I would say if you're Edmonton, you trade for Binnington. But they can't fit him in either. So would it be smart? Would Bill Zito do it? Because Bill Zito, you know why he won 2 cups? He made all those trades. He didn't draft and develop anybody. He had a core. He made a million different trades. He traded for Rana. He traded for Bennett. He traded for all these guys. He got Forsing on waivers. I don't see the fit, Rob, because I don't know if you could fit that salary in the salary cap for a contending team. So I think he'll stay there. And I don't think they've waved the flag yet. But when you watch him play and you watch the team play and you see how banged up they are, and who knows how banged up Marchand is coming out of the break, and they have to climb over like 6 teams to get there. Look, they had a great run. Cup finals, 2 cup wins. Enjoy it and move on to next season.
Right, because you're not going away. All these guys are locked up long-term, except Bob, but we all know he'll be back in the summer. How long you been covering the Kings, by the way?
Since they opened Staples Center, which now is Crypto.com Arena. So I guess since 2000, 1999.
Right, so a quarter century. Dennis Bernstein with us, by the way, from NHL Radio, the LA Bureau Chief, and from the fourthperiod.com. I bring that up because you remember the Daryl Sutter era. Probably, and how they just pulled that. He replaced Terry Murray, and boop, they're in the Stanley Cup final and win it. And now they got the Artemi Panarin debut. Wednesday nights. These must be exciting times in LA.
It is, until Kevin Fiala got his leg fell on by Tom Wilson. So it's like kind of a net, like the force multiplier that would have been with Panarin. It's now probably break even. It's a coin flip the Kings make the playoffs. But is it more exciting? It is. To have a player like that for a power play, I think that's 31st in the league, that you needed to make that move. The question is for LA, they'll have $15 million projected under the cap at the trade deadline. What else is Ken Holland going to do? He has to replace the offense. He's got to go get a player like maybe a Jonathan Marchessault out of Nashville. If you got him like on a retained salary deal, they need another offensive player. But it'll be exciting. They'll sell a lot of jerseys. He's happy to be here. He's on a 2-year extension. So I think while it's a coin flip for making the playoffs this season around, the question is, what do you do next season? Kopitar's retiring. Quentin Byfield's, they're moving him to left wing. That means you have no centers for next season. So it's going to be exciting to have Panarin here. It's going to be the game's more exciting because, Rod, I've watched all these games this year for LA. I feel sorry for the fans, and I go down to the concourse between periods. I don't stay up in the press box, and all you hear is like, "Wow, it's the same game. It's 2-1 every night, and it's boring." Well, Panarin won't make it boring anymore.
Oh, no, not at all. Well, and as I'm not sure I told you, we're airing now across Nevada in prime time nightly. The Golden Knights, they wouldn't be in a playoff spot if they were in the Eastern Conference, yet they lead the Pacific. So what do you think's ahead for the Golden Knights in the Fortress?
Well, I use the term dog's breakfast when it comes to the Pacific because it's a mess, right? And it really is a mess. I think a couple of things. They have, 5 guys playing a gold medal game? When are they going to play? Are they going to play here in Los Angeles on Wednesday? Right? They should win the division. Here's the question. If you're legit, what's Hayden Hill? Is Hayden Hill the guy that won the Cup a couple of years ago? Or is it Hayden Hill that's playing now who looks really rusty and isn't the same guy? If they don't get goaltending, they won't win. Because, Rod, guess what happens? Like, why is Buffalo doing good this year? Oh, they got saves from Saturday. If you don't get saves, Rod, I don't care what team you got. You're not winning. And that's the biggest challenge is Hayden Hill going to come through? Because Akira Schmid's not going to win you a Stanley Cup. Nice backup in case there's an injury. Hayden Hill has to be the guy. Is there enough talent on that team? Yeah. You got to hope that you get through the last 25 games without any injuries because this is an older team. Could they get out? Look, they should win the Pacific. They're better than Edmonton. They're better than everybody else. Are they better than the Central Division teams? I don't think so. I don't think they're better than any of those 3 teams. But if they could get goaltending, could they get over and get back to a Cup final? They could. There's enough talent with respect to skaters, but it comes down to Hayden Hill and what he's going to be for the final 25 games plus.
Well, if Kelly McCrimmon, who was on this show last week, felt the need to acquire Sergei Bobrovsky, he'd find a way.
He'd find a way. He'd circumvent the salary cap like he always does. And yeah, but that's what you want as a fan. That's all you want. You want the owner to pay the price, and you want the GM to be aggressive. And there's no team more aggressive than the Vegas Golden Knights. So I wouldn't sell him short. I think he's happy with what he has because you think that if Hill is healthy and comes back to form, they have the components to win it. So maybe a depth add for Kelly, but and they've lost a ton of overtime games as well, which is kind of weird for this team. But we'll see. They should win the Pacific though and be at least in the conference final.
Scott in Vancouver says the Pacific is probably the worst division right now. Not sure why that is. I would say it's just a fad. I don't think it's a trend. What do you? It's just the way things go.
It's like AFC, NFC in NFL. It year to year changes. Like his team, you know why I bet? Because of his team. That's a bad team. That's the worst team in the league right now. What did it do with Elias Pedersen? So he can blame his own team for being so bad. But there's some teams that are still rebuilding, right? Like San Jose and Anaheim, and they're coming. But it's all transitional, Rod. Like next year, we could say that the Metro might be the worst. So you never know.
Vancouver would be bad in any division. And by the way, DB, I just got a word from the producer. Don't be surprised if we get cut off here. So don't be offended. But I'll end this with this. You said that you were an LA Rams season ticket holder. They would have won the Super Bowl had they been in it, wouldn't they?
Oh, yeah. Had they had cornerbacks, they would have won. The defense let them down. They have to reinvent their cornerbacks, their defensive backfield situation. But look, the Patriots got a free ride. We saw what happened in the Super Bowl. So yeah, it was heartbreaking to see that. But I'm still proud of my team, and Matthew's coming back for another year. So they're going to reload and try to get back. And the Super Bowl's here in Los Angeles, and I was here in 2021 when we won. So we'll see. Hopefully, we could do it again 6 years later.
Well, when they lost the conference championship, there was talk of Sean McVay stepping down. I'm like, what? Again, the media is driving me nuts, DB. We have to have a talk next time I see you. The media is. Why would he step down? He's on top of the world.
Because Amazon would give him $20 million to be an analyst. That's why.
To go to TV and not have the stress. Do people not understand? Coaches coach. That's what they do. They don't like being on the
Amen, Rod. You got it right. That guy's born to be a coach. There's no way. He'd do it for a year and then come back and start coaching again.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what. Next time I was remiss in Tampa. I watched you from afar do your craft. I'm going to jump up and grab a selfie of the two of us together for when we have promo when we're coming on together. I didn't want to bother you. Yeah. So
You're never
what's your next?
I'm a public figure.
What's your next road trip? He's gone. What I tell you? Sorry, DB. Don't be offended. Dennis Bernstein, NHL Radio. We'll be right back on the Silver State Sports Entertainment Network after this.
You have a vision, a big idea. But how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events. That's the EMJ difference. We position your brand where it belongs, Guy, through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw-up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with The Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more. There's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw-up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
All right, welcome back, everybody. I feel like it's a fool's errand to say, can we all just get along? I've said today, can we please not what should I say? Give the U.S. hockey fans what they want, and that's Canadian hockey fan tears because they're bathing in them today. And now there's people coming at me. Whine all you want, I guess. USA won. Time to move on. From the text line, though, Phil writes in. Where is Phil? He is in Dauphin, the home of Barry Trotz. He says, good day, good day. Thank God it's Monday. Hell of a gold medal game. Hell of a performance from Hellebuck. Even though Canada lost, still couldn't help but smile when they brought Johnny Hockey's kids out to celebrate their win. That was great. Tony in the Bridge City writes, and he says, I like the Blue Jays pullover, Rod. Good thing about the early game was after I could watch the Jays and the Genesis Invitational on the PGA Tour. From Awesome Riviera. The Masters is coming. Signed, Tony from the Bridge City. Thank you for the reminder. Sports update from the weekend. Vikings wide receiver Rondale Moore was found dead on Saturday with a gunshot wound, suspected to be self-inflicted. The former Purdue standout was 25 years old. Check on your bros. Jacob Bridgman avoided a Sunday collapse and held off a surging Rory McIlroy to secure a one-shot victory at the Genesis Invitational, his first win on the PGA Tour. Kurt Signetti signed a new contract with Indiana that will pay him $13 million per season through 2033. The only other college football coaches earning that much annually, LSU's Lane Kiffin and Georgia's Kirby Smart. The Lakers unveiled a bronze statue of Pat Riley outside their arena on Sunday. It fittingly stands between statues of Magic Johnson and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, with whom Riley won 4 championships as head coach of the Showtime Lakers. How about that? And the field here at Kaseya Arena, the home of the Miami Heat, is called Pat Riley Court. Imagine being an icon in 2 locales. That's reserved for the Roberto Luongos, the Tom Bradys, the Wally Buonos, special people. For the race fans, after going winless in 2025, Tyler Reddick has opened 2026 with 2 straight NASCAR victories, adding Sunday's double overtime thriller to last week's Daytona 500. Tyler Reddick is the first driver since 2009 to win the first 2 races of the NASCAR Cup Series season. Don't worry. I'm not turning into the race car guy, nor the golf guy. I'm just putting it in the sports update, which is brought to you by our friends at Ultimate Fan Zone, where they love all sports. Collectors, listen up. Hockey cards, autographs, and fan memorabilia, all at Ultimate Fan Zone. Don't wait. Shop ultimatefanzone.ca. I would like to do this the rest of the way if we can, and that is viewer takeover, 902-518-3033. How do we know this? Jeff the Stamps fan writes, and he says, he's a Republican. Oh my God, Rod, how can you have him on? LOL, just joking. Who, Dennis Bernstein is? Here's the amazing thing. I can say this very confidently. When we convene in the press boxes around the countries, around North America, we don't talk politics. And that's why we don't talk about it here. So, now you know. Come on, guy. Well, listen, again, I don't think this is swearing, and I don't think in Nevada they'll even care, but my mom's term, it's like pissing into the wind, trying to convince you people, to stop acting like children is like pissing into the wind and losing with class. Chief Johnny Moe from Winnipeg's watching. He says, the comments on Facebook, like a bandwagon of American hockey, come out of the woodwork. That's not childish, but it's life. I get it. We live and die with hockey, and that's a great thing. We really do. But when we don't win, canning the complaining, canning the bitching about the Kachucks, it's getting old fast. And again, get used to it. They're going to be celebrating tonight on double-decker buses around South Beach. It's going to be pushed in your face again tonight. You might not want to turn on the news or open up your phone until tomorrow. One more segment, overtime. Keep it coming, everybody, right after this.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw-up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world! Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with The Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more. There's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world! Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
You have a vision, a big idea. But how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events. That's the EMJ difference.
We position your brand where it belongs, Guy, through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
Do you worry about how much someone drinks?
Do you feel angry or depressed most of the time? Do you feel neglected or unloved?
Do you feel that if the drinker loved you, she or he would stop drinking?
If you answered yes to any of these questions, you are not alone.
Not everyone trapped by alcohol is an alcoholic.
Families and friends are suffering too.
Al-Anon and
Alateen can help. Call 1-866-200-0223 or visit alanon.org/help.
Looking for a new ride without the big city pressure? Come to Western Dodge in Moose Jaw, where you'll find an unbeatable lineup of Ram trucks, Jeep SUVs, Dodge Muscle, and Chrysler family rides. With knowledgeable staff, great prices, and that friendly Moose Jaw touch, you'll drive away with confidence. Western Dodge. Big selection, small town service. Visit us today or browse online at westerndodge.ca. Welcome back for Overtime, everybody. Oh, this is great. By the way, as you know, Overtime is brought to you by our friends at Overtime Hockey Lanes in Calgary. Are you looking for the perfect place to perfect your shot? Of course you are. Maybe Nathan McKinnon should. Look no further than Overtime Hockey Lanes in Calgary with state-of-the-art shooting lanes, top-notch equipment. It's the ultimate training destination for players of all ages and skill levels. Whether you're prepping for the big game or just want to have some fun, Overtime Hockey Lanes has got you covered. OvertimeHL.ca. From the audience, Wayne in BC says, I got to say, Dennis knows his hockey and is a great analyst. Talking about Dennis Bernstein, who was with us two segments ago. Sean is in Vancouver. He writes in, he goes, wow, I love this guest, Rod. He's telling it like it is. And I know he's right because it hurts. It hurts to hear. I have this whole page full of notes ready to go, but I'd rather just go back and forth with you people. And I'll tell you the story of how Dennis and I got together. I've told it before, but I'll tell it again. Winter Classic, Miami, January 2nd, a little over a month ago. I'm sitting at a table in the press box, and he's got his wife with him, and I'd never met him before. And I'm like, this guy's kind of quirky, but kind of cool. I'd never met him before. And everybody that came into that press box, this is where the meal was, everybody stopped. Hey, DB. Hey, DB. What's up, DB? Everybody hugged him, shook his hand. I'm like, this guy is like the Pope of Chili Town. So I leaned over, I was sitting beside Jersey Jim. I leaned over and said, hey, Jersey, who's that? He goes, that's Dennis Bernstein. I'm like, oh, the Dennis Bernstein? NHL radio? I'd never seen him before. I've only ever heard him on the radio. That's the difference between TV and radio. So anyways, listen for a little while longer. He's dropping his pearls of wisdom. I just enjoyed it. There's something about him that is very magnetic energy. And I got up and gave my card. I'm like, hey, Dennis, Rod Pedersen, big fan. He goes, RP, the legend. I'm like, how do you know who I am? That's usually my reaction. He gave me his card. I said, I got to get you on my show. And then I walked out, and Jersey Jim came and sat with me later for the game. And he goes, you're not going to believe this. Dennis's wife, Patty, goes, was that Rod Pedersen? I'm like, no. He goes, yeah. She said, we watch him all the time in L.A. And that's where I realized that we're on the air in L.A., and I didn't even know it. And I was still a little skeptical about that until the San Jose Sharks rolled through Sunrise a couple of weeks later, and Drew Remenda came through, the longtime TV analyst for the Sharks. And he was like, say hey to Scruffy for me. I'm like, what? Oh, Scruffy. He's on with you. I said, you watch? He goes, yeah, we got it on in San Jose. It's the Game Plus network, right? I'm like, 2026, getting off to a hell of a start. A good one. 902-518-3033. With regards to the, my mom's phrase, might as well piss into the wind. Not going to do anything and come right back on you. Brent in Saskatoon writes, and he says, or spitting into the wind, right, Rod? Yeah, but my mom never said that. Jim Crochet did. Are you familiar with Jim Crochet, producer Corey? Are you familiar with Jim Crochet? Just out of morbid. He's not. That doesn't surprise me. He's an old singer. So, you know the song, Don't Mess Around with Jim. You don't spit into the wind. You don't pull on Superman's cape. You don't mess around with Jim. That's what the viewers were asking. So I just thought I would pass that along. John in Winnipeg says, I think one thing we can all agree on, the RP show is the very best in sports talk. Rock on, Rod. Jeff, the Stamps fan, says, thanks for remembering us little people, Rod. What the hell are you talking about? Oh, those that have been watching this show. Is it tug on Superman's cape or pull on Superman's cape? You don't tug, you don't pull. I thought it was pull. Ryan in upstate New York. You don't mess around with Slim. No, it's Jim, guys. You don't mess around with Jim. I used to be a DJ. I used to play these songs. I don't know what else to say. Have a great day, Rod Squad. Make it a great Monday. And here's one that'll blow your mind as I leave you with this. When I was a DJ, we used to play songs by Neil Young. Neil Young, which nothing against Neil Young. But go look up who he's married to. Daryl Hannah from the movie Splash. That will blow your mind for the rest of the day and into tomorrow. Neil Young is married to Daryl Hannah, the star of Splash. Just blew my own mind just thinking about that again. BW from Edmonton. Oh, hang on. Laura, she gave me this bell. I got to read her comment. Laura in Edmonton. She says, hi, Rod and crew. I can't wait to watch Brady Tkachuk return to Ottawa and get applauded by the fans despite being American. He is a great captain for a Canadian team. What are your thoughts? We got a lot of Jets fans writing in here about Connor Hellebuck. Same thing. And you know what? In Vegas, they're obviously going to honor Jack Eichel, Noah Hannafin, those guys from the Golden Knights. But I would think that they would acknowledge Mitch Marner and the Golden Knights that won silver medals. And frankly, it's all good. And I get the Canadian thing. I don't like to lose. Losing sucks. And the lesson in all of this that we're going to see from these USA hockey players on the double-decker bus, winding, it's 2 buses through South Beach. When you win, you can do whatever the hell you want. That's not just Matthew Tkachuk. Winning still matters. Winning is remembered. They make movies about this stuff. So go out there and win. And we'll see you tomorrow, everybody. This has been great. Thanks to Dennis Bernstein. Thanks to Scruffy. He'll be back with us as well. Hopefully we're over the loss by then. Be good to yourselves, most importantly. And, and to each other as well. That would be a nice change as well. We'll see you tomorrow on Game Plus Television and the Silver State Sports and Entertainment Network here on the RP Show.
That.